This is one of our favorites, Pop. This is one of our personal favorites here. Pop and I came across this and basically couldn't believe what we were reading when we first started looking at it. We pulled it up, and I remember sitting with you there. We had heard of it.
Yeah, the VAWA.
We heard because they bring it up in family court. VAWA, blah blah blah. They'll bring it up in family court. They're the female lawyers, the wife lawyers. Will, according to VAWA, you this, that, or you can't know this, that, and the other about what your wife is doing. I remember hearing about it in my custody case at any rate. Violence Against Women Act, signed into law by Clinton in 1994. Bush administration, Bush 1 wrote this, and we now know that everybody from Carter on up, with the possible exception of Trump,
sell out,
and Ronald Reagan, who still did some questionable things as it turned out.
Yes.
But all of those other presidents, save 2, signed into legislation, stuff like this. Bush created this. Clinton signed it in federal legislation that expanded the judicial tools to combat violence against women and protect women, provide protection to women who had suffered violent abuses. It was initially signed into law by Clinton. Besides changing statutes, the Violence Against Women Act was notable for calling attention to the issues of domestic violence. Now, here's where it gets fun, because Pop and I dissected this thing. Do you think we can get through all of it without having to look at our notes?
Maybe.
Because we really...
Yeah. Well, first of all,
yeah,
it's been expanded to the point of lunacy.
Yes.
She can literally go into court without you even being there, get a personal protection order, which violates, your ability to meet your accuser. You can't really show any evidence. They just take your guns away.
Yes.
And fuck you over. That's bullshit.
Yes. The premise of VAWA, as it is written, is that the woman is always the victim and the man is always the attacker.
Yep.
We dug into that again, CDC and FBI crime stats, and we found that it was 72 to 79% of the cases, it was women who instigated the violence and would provoke the man to the point of slapping her or whatever.
Yeah.
And there are guys out there who tool women up. There are.
Yeah.
That's true.
But the thing is like these women attack men. They're weaker. So they're not really good at it. And at some point, the dude turns around and is like, okay. And now he's going to jail.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. Or, and I talked to, like, for the past 15 years, thousands of guys involved in the legal system when it comes to this domestic violence horse shit. In fact, we just had that one guy on the show last year who spent 5 years in Wayne County jail without a trial. They trumped it up. They denied him a defense that he was going to use, and he got convicted. Now he has to go through the whole appeals process, and we'll see what happens with that. But holy shit. Now, Granted, he's an idiot. I'm not going to take that away from him. He
did some stupid stuff.
Well, the thing is she attacked him 5 or 6 times. He has it on video. Yeah. He tooled her up, and she gets a pass, and he spends 5 years in jail without a trial. And they deny him his self-defense defense.
They denied him his civil rights entirely.
Yes, entirely.
They entirely denied him his civil
rights. But, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. I mean, this is insane. There's a reason why men are not dating, not having kids now, not getting married, because there's the woman's side, the feminist side is so stacked against men that literally the only safe play is not to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take your chips, go home, and play some solitaire.
So I know about a half a dozen cops, and I've talked to all of them, and I know you know a bunch of cops.
No, I know dozens of them.
And I get the same story from them all the way back to when my sister was the one who had the husband. When she was a cop, she said in 93, right before she quit, they changed the law so that if the police showed up at your door in Florida, she was a cop in Florida, in Broward County, where if the police showed up for a DV, the guy was going in handcuffs.
That's right.
Unless the police rolled up and the woman was standing there with a knife going,
yeah,
or dumping a mag into the guy. Then you could arrest the female. Otherwise, the guy was getting
going to jail.
cuffed.
Yeah, you're getting cuffed and stuffed.
And it is the same with every cop that I've talked to in different places: Florida, Illinois, 2 in Michigan, 1 in California. All the same thing. If a police officer goes to a domestic crime and the two are there, the male and the female is being put in cuffs. There's no questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
The male is being put in cuffs, and it is because of this. This
VAWA.
Yeah, the VAWA was enacted in 1994 as Title IV of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act. Passage provided for the means of creation in 95 of the Office on Violence Against Women, blatantly unconstitutional, within the Department of Justice. Now, here's another thing that the VAWA Act did that's not lined out here, but I know that it's true because Pop and I researched this one as well. The family courts.
Yes.
Remember what they did with the family courts?
They weaponized it against the man. And you
separated
said
it from the
Title
court
IV,
system. Yeah,
but there's also Title 4D, which is in this bill.
exactly.
And what that means is for every dollar they collect in child support, they get $1 from the federal government to compensate the effort. And that money comes out of the Social Security Fund. Boom.
That's correct. So you're paying for your own persecution, basically.
Yes.
VAWA was reauthorized in 2000, 2005, and 2013. It's been reauthorized recently as well. I think it was reauthorized in 2020. Initial passage and repeated authorization was spearheaded by groups such as the National Organization for Women, which is a Marxist outfit, the National Task Force to End Sexual and Domestic Violence Against Women, Family Prevention. These are all of these are the same people spread out to make it look like there's all of these organizations, but it's the same group of like 10 people. And they're just Marxist organizations dismantling our courts, taking the family courts out of the regular court system. So the regular court system has no control over the family courts now.
Correct.
There's nowhere to appeal.
And it's also spilling over into the actual. All right. This is an observation I made while I was doing my research. The family courts have been literally wiping their ass with the Constitution since late 60s, early 70s. I would say late 70s. With it
was codified into law in 1990.
I know, but it was taking place after the no-fault divorce thing.
Yes.
And it's just gotten worse. It's hard to explain. The example I should use is we were the frog in the pot, and they've been slowly turning up the heat. Yeah. And now we're starting to notice, and it might be too late now.
It has dismantled manhood in the United States of America, and the damage that it has done to women is just as great. Just that nobody is allowed to point it out, talk about it, or see it. Most criticisms of the Violence Against Women Act come from those who believe that violence affects both women and men and both perpetrators and victims, that the act addresses only women as victims. That's exactly what it does. It's called the Violence Against Women Act.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. Some argued that the act attempted to undermine grassroots organizations. What grassroots organizations? This is all just platitudes trying to explain away that they have weaponized the whole man versus woman scenario that came up in the 1960s, where feminism, which started out with Erin Pizzey, who was very sweet. She was very nice.
She's a nice one. I don't know if she's still alive.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I wonder if we could get a hold of her. Hi, do you remember us?
Probably not. She talks to a lot of people.
I'm sure she does. But it started out as a couple of women who just wanted to work. That was what feminism started as. Anybody tells you otherwise, go ask Erin Pizzey. We think she's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go talk to her. But now that the family courts are weaponized, the Hollywood is weaponized, education system is weaponized, the government is weaponized to make sure that, and it isn't specifically a war on men per se. It's a war to destroy the family unit and set men and women against each other.
Okay. It's a divide and conquer strategy, which is in my 10-point thing to take over the world.
Yes. It is to set us against each other so we're not holding our families together and fighting back against them. And then we become completely reliant on them, because when the women get sucked into the VAWA, what happens? Where does that child support money go? That doesn't go to her pocket. Not right away. Where does it go? You pay the court, don't you?
Yes, you do. Well, I know that judges receive money directly into their retirement funds from child support collected from men. Mm-hmm. Just think about that.
Yep.
Whenever somebody gains from fucking somebody over, that's wrong. And they're doing it on the regular. It's happening 5 days a week, 52 out of 50 weeks a year, and it's been going on for 50 fucking years or more.
They've weaponized the misery that they have caused and then they monetized it. What could be more sinister than that?
I know. I mean, listen, anything that destroys love and hope is evil.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're using this weakness that was created by this divide between the sexes and the races to literally send a silent invasion here. And it's going to get really fucking bad.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Caser box.